Hey guys, I'm Mr. Cleghorn, and I'm going to be teaching you American history today. We're going to be going over Chapter 6. So go ahead and take out your book. It looks like this, and we're going to go ahead and read it along. We're going to be learning about the 13 colonies. Alright. So you remember what the 13 colonies are, right? So we got New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North and South Carolina, and Georgia. And today we're going to be talking about the middle and southern colonies. So turn to chapter 6, it's on page 57, and let's go ahead and we're going to stop at the start of the page. It says, settling farther south. While the New England colonies were being settled in the north, other colonies were being started along the rest of the Atlantic coast. They were called the middle colonies: New York, Delaware, and New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And the southern colonies: Virginia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. New York. New York was an unusual colony because 3 countries claimed it at the same time. Now remember that, because that's going to come up later. The Dutch are the people who lived in the Netherlands, also called Holland. In 1609, the Dutch sent a man named Henry Hudson to find a shortcut to Asia. Instead, Hudson found an area containing friendly Indians and plenty of beaver. Since beaver skins were very valuable, the Dutch quickly claimed the area and the Hudson explored. This area is now the southern part of New York. Alright, so the Dutch, the country of the Netherlands, claimed New York as their own. So remember that. However, during the same time in 1609, a Frenchman named Samuel de Champlain sailed down from Quebec and explored what is now the northern part of New York. So France became the second country to claim New York. So we have the Netherlands, the Dutch, and we have the French. And you will remember that in 1497, John Cabot claimed all of North America for England. Now John Cabot was an explorer and a map maker from England that sailed and was one of the first people from England to discover North America. And he made a claim that, that the King of England, and by extension, the England, owned North America. They had the claim for North America. So, since New York is, guess what, is part of North America, England also had a claim on New York. Even though 3 countries claimed New York, only one began to build settlements there. The Dutch built a small village there that they called Fort Orange. Later, the Dutch brought Manhattan Island from the Indians and built a village there. The Dutch called this city New Amsterdam, since Amsterdam was the capital of the Netherlands. The Dutch named this whole colony New Netherlands. New Netherland had a rich farmland. Men were getting wealthy from beaver furs. New Amsterdam had one of the best harbors in America. Now harbors is where the ships dock and where the ships take off, you remember that. Now England decided it was time to take control of what she claimed was hers. English ships sailed into the harbor, and soldiers told the people that England was going to take control of New Netherland. The brave and fearless Peter Stuyvesant, the governor of the colony and the first, refused to surrender to the British. But the British promised to treat the Dutch fairly, and the Dutch saw that they could never defeat the British. They were too powerful. Now remember, the British was the biggest empire at that time. The Dutch people refused to fight. Broken-hearted, the governor surrendered. The British did indeed treat the Dutch fairly. The Dutch were allowed to keep their farms, and most of them stayed after the British took over. But the British changed a few names. New Amsterdam became New York. New Netherland was called New York. Well, New Amsterdam was the city, became New York City. Keep that in mind. The British now owned another colony in America. Eventually, England would control all 13 American colonies. And that is for New York. Next, we're going to be talking about Delaware. The Dutch were also the first to begin a settlement in Delaware. There was much trouble between the settlers and the Indians. The settlement failed. Then Sweden became interested in beginning a colony in the New World. However, it seems as though the people of Sweden were content to stay in Sweden. In 1638, only about 50 settlers arrived on the 2 ships that Sweden sent to Delaware. They may have been few in number, but they were the first successful settlement in Delaware. The Swedes were peaceful farmers and hard workers. So were the Indians who lived among them. Though the Indians did not get along with the Dutch, they became very friendly with the Swedes. Nevertheless, the Swedes believed in protecting themselves. They built a fort that they called Fort Christina to honor Sweden's young queen. Now remember that, Fort Christina. Today this area is the city of Wilmington, Delaware. They named their settlement New Sweden. New Sweden never grew large. The country of Sweden was having its own problems and could not help the colony. As a result, the Dutch took over all of New Sweden in 1655, but kept it only 10 years before the English took it away from them. So that is Delaware. Next we're going to be talking about New Jersey. New Jersey. Along the Hudson River from New York is New Jersey. At one time the Dutch claimed New Jersey as part of New Netherland, as they once did Delaware. The Dutch settled at New Netherland, New York, in 1624. However, they did so little to send settlers across the river to settle New Jersey, so a few Swedish settlers from Delaware began to wander into New Jersey. This action angered the Dutch, who forced the Swedes to leave. Then in 1660, the Dutch began the first permanent settlement in New Jersey. Now it was England's turn to be angry. New Netherland was in the middle of the English colonies. English considered the Dutch a threat to the English colonies. The English claimed that the Dutch were living on land that belonged to England. Now remember, when John Cabot discovered America, he claimed all of England, all of North America, for England. Now, you will also remember that in 1664, English warships sailed to New Amsterdam without even a shot, and the English took over New Amsterdam, or New York City. No longer did the Dutch rule any colony in the New World. The king's brother, the Duke of York, received not only New Netherland, but also the land that would become New Jersey. The Duke of York in turn gave New Jersey to two of his friends, Sir George Carteret and Sir John Berkeley. Now remember that, George Carteret and Lord John Berkeley became the new owners of New Jersey. These are the men that gave New Jersey its name. They offered to sell land at low prices to the colonists. They also offered any colonist freedom of religion. These offers brought many colonists seeking religious freedom to New Jersey, and a number of Presbyterians and Baptists who had become famous at the time for our Declaration of Independence also lived there. So that concludes the first part of our series. Next video we're going to be talking about Pennsylvania, so stay tuned and we'll see you next time.